The arrival in the void for centuries. The Galactic Empire ruled the stars without question. Their fleet stretched from one nebula to another, their admirals speaking with the arrogance of gods. Yet deep inside the uncharted black between spiral arms, a small blue planet called Earth watched and waited. The Empire had dismissed humanity as insignificant, a primitive race too young to challenge their order. When the first human ships appeared on their borders, the alien commanders laughed. They sent scouts to intercept, expecting easy prey. But the scouts never returned. Rumors spread through the Imperial Navy. Whispers of a ghost fleet moving through the void. Whole patrols vanishing without a trace. No wreckage, no signals, only silence. Even their most advanced sensors could find nothing. Then one night on the edge of Sector Taraxis, a long-range outpost picked up a reading. A single massive object emerging from hyperspace. Its energy output was off the charts. Admiral Vorath, commander of the Empire's Third Armada, stood before the holographic projection. His voice shook slightly as he demanded identification. The technicians tried, but the readings didn't match any known design. Not Imperial, not pirate, not even ancient. And then the image cleared. A colossal vessel drifted out of the void, black as space itself. Its hull glowing with slow-moving veins of light. No banners, no markings. Only one word etched along its surface in ancient Terran script. Leviathan. The Empire's warships formed a defensive line. Hundreds of cruisers and dreadnoughts aiming their cannons at the newcomer. Vorath ordered a warning transmission, but the human ship did not respond. Instead, it kept moving, slow, deliberate, unstoppable. As though the universe itself made way for it. Inside the bridge of the Leviathan, Captain Elias Rourke watched the tactical display. His crew, calm, disciplined, and silent, waited for his word. They knew what was coming. Rourke's gaze hardened. "They fired on Earth's colonies," he said quietly. "They think fear rules the galaxy. It's time they learn what fear really means." The first shot came from the Empire. A pulse cannon beam struck the Leviathan's shields and vanished like a raindrop in fire. Then came another and another. Thousands of shots lighting up the void. The Leviathan didn't flinch. The Empire's laughter turned to confusion when their sensors reported no damage. Moments later, the human dreadnought's lights shifted from blue to crimson. Energy surged through its hull, and a deep vibration echoed through space. "Fire," Rourke whispered. A single beam erupted from the Leviathan's bow. Silent, pure white, cutting through the void like the judgment of a god. One by one, Imperial ships split apart, their hulls glowing red before vanishing into dust. Across the Empire's fleet channels, voices screamed, "It's one ship, one human ship." Admiral Vorath stared in horror as his entire armada crumbled before his eyes. His last transmission was barely a whisper. "By the stars, what have we awakened?" And then, for the first time in millennia, the Empire's armada fell silent. Only the Leviathan drifted there alone in the darkness, its crimson glow fading back to calm blue. The galaxy would remember this moment forever. The message to the galaxy in the ruins of the battle. The silence felt heavier than sound. Every Imperial transmission line was empty, every admiral lost. Only fragments of data drifting through the void like ghosts. News of the Leviathan spread faster than light, carried by frightened traders and trembling survivors. They spoke of a single human ship that had erased a fleet of thousands. Across the galaxy, fear replaced arrogance. The Empire's council gathered in a crystal chamber above their capital world. The Emperor's voice thundered through the hall, demanding answers. But no one could explain how a primitive species had built a weapon that defied their science. Some whispered that humanity had awakened an ancient power. Others that they had made a pact with the void itself. Far from the Empire's core, on the bridge of the Leviathan, Captain Elias Rourke watched the silent stars. His crew was repairing the ship's systems, their faces calm yet uneasy. They had done what no one believed possible, and now the galaxy was watching them. Rourke ordered a transmission to be prepared, one that would reach every known channel, every world, every ruler. When the signal went live, the galaxy froze. The image of a human in a dark uniform filled every holoscreen. Behind him, the faint glow of Earth symbol in a blue-white circle burned like a promise. "This is Captain Elias Rourke of the Terran Union," he began, his voice steady. "To those who believe they can rule through fear and fire, your reign ends today. Humanity does not seek conquest, but we will not kneel. We warned the Empire after they slaughtered our colonies. We gave them mercy, and they answered with blood. Now the stars will remember that mercy is no longer free. The message ended, but its echo traveled through systems for days. Some species cheered, others hid, and the Empire's enemies saw opportunity. The Emperor slammed his fist on the throne and swore revenge, ordering every remaining ship to regroup, but deep down, he knew fear had entered his people's hearts, and fear was the first crack in any empire. On Earth, humans watched the broadcast in silence. Families huddled in front of screens, soldiers saluted, and children whispered the name Leviathan like a legend. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not prey. Rourke stood at the viewport, his reflection faint against the stars. "They'll come again," he said quietly, "and when they do, we'll be ready, somewhere in the distance." New signals flickered, not of war but of curiosity. Alien civilizations sending cautious greetings, seeking to know this species that had stood against gods. The galaxy had changed forever, and the humans had just begun their story. The Empire's revenge fleet weeks passed, but the silence of defeat haunted the Empire like a shadow. Their pride, once louder than thunder, now whispered only fear across their worlds. Citizens spoke the forbidden word, humans. The Emperor could not bear it. He swore that this shame would be erased from history. In secret, he gathered his remaining admirals and scientists. They met inside a fortress buried under a dying sun, where light itself struggled to survive. On the massive table of obsidian steel, a hologram of the Leviathan spun slowly. "This ship," the Emperor growled, "humiliated our empire. I want it destroyed. I want its ashes scattered across time." A new project was born. Operation Eclipse. The Empire's brightest minds worked without sleep, building weapons powered by dark energy forbidden. Since the dawn of the stars, entire planets were stripped of resources, millions enslaved to forge the new fleet. Far away, humanity watched quietly. Satellites picked up strange energy spikes near the Empire's borders. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the Leviathan's command deck, gazing at the data feed. "They're building something," his lieutenant said. "Something massive." Rourke's expression didn't change. "Let them," he murmured. "They still think power is about size, not will." Months later, the void trembled again. The Empire launched their new weapon, the Oblivion Armada, 50 dreadnoughts larger than mountains, each carrying a black core capable of tearing stars apart. The Emperor stood at the head of the fleet, armored in gold and rage. He smiled for the first time since his defeat. "Find the humans," he ordered, "and show them what eternity fears." The Leviathan was waiting, deep inside a nebula of blue mist, half its systems in shadow mode. Its AI whispered softly, "Incoming signatures, 50 warships, multiple suns in energy output." Rourke's crew stared at the readings, their hearts racing. "Sir, they outnumber us 50 to 1, a voice said. Rourke didn't blink. "Then it's a fair fight." The nebula glowed red as the Empire's fleet entered, massive shapes cutting through the clouds like gods of destruction. The first wave fired, beams of black light slicing through space. The Leviathan's shields flared, trembling under the pressure. Alarm screamed through the bridge for a moment. Even Rourke felt the weight of doom pressing on him, but then he whispered, "They still don't understand." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the singularity drive." The air changed. Lights dimmed and a deep hum filled the ship. A sphere of white energy began to form at the Leviathan's core, twisting space itself. The Empire's sensors went wild, unable to measure what they were seeing. Then, without a sound, the Leviathan moved. Faster than light but slower than thought, it appeared behind the lead Dreadnought, its main cannon glowing white again. One beam, one breath, and the largest ship of the Empire vanished. Not destroyed, but erased. Panic broke through the Empire's channels. "It's impossible. It's rewriting space-time," shouted an admiral before his signal cut off. The Emperor watched in disbelief as one by one, his mighty creations were torn apart by something he could not understand. His rage turned to terror. "Stop it! Stop it now!" he screamed. But there was no stopping what had already begun. The Leviathan floated among the wreckage of the revenge fleet, its blue light steady again. Inside, Rourke whispered to no one in particular, "Revenge always looks powerful, until it meets purpose." As the last of the Empire's ships burned out, a faint transmission echoed from the darkness. It wasn't human. It wasn't imperial. It was something else, something older, humanity, it said. We have been waiting. The crew stared at the signal in silence, and Rourke's heart grew cold. He understood. The Empire was not the greatest threat. The real war was only beginning. The signal from the Ancient Ones, the wreckage of the Empire's revenge fleet, drifted like broken crowns in the dark, silence wrapping every twisted hull. But amid that silence, a single pulse kept repeating, faint and rhythmic. Not imperial, not mechanical. It was older, far older than any language the Leviathan systems could translate. Captain Rourke stood at the center of the bridge, watching the strange frequency dance across the hollow screen. That signal came from nowhere, said his science officer. No coordinates, no source, just everywhere. The AI's calm voice cut in, cross-referencing spectral patterns, origin unknown, estimated age, 12 million years. The crew fell silent. Outside, the stars seemed dimmer. Rourke's gaze hardened. Put it on audio, he said. The speakers hummed. Then a voice emerged, layered and deep, like time itself speaking through metal. Children of Earth, it said. You walk the path we left unfinished. The ones who claimed the stars before you. They feared what you are becoming. Every soul aboard the Leviathan froze. It wasn't a threat. It was a memory. The voice continued. When power forgets mercy, empires fall. But when mercy forgets strength, species vanish. You have balanced both, for now. The message faded, replaced by coordinates glowing crimson on the main display. Rourke frowned. A beacon, he murmured, deep in the ether rift, no known route. His navigator hesitated. Sir, that region destroys ships, gravity storms, dark energy ruptures, nothing survives there. Rourke smiled faintly. Then we'll be the first to try. While the Leviathan prepared to jump, whispers spread across the galaxy. Empires fractured. Pirates fled, and other civilizations began listening. Some wanted alliance, others wanted answers. But one thing was clear. Humanity's actions had awakened something vast. When the Leviathan entered the rift, the stars disappeared. The crew felt pressure in their minds, like a whisper too close to thought. Reality bent and folded, colors no human eyes had words for. Then, calm, they found themselves before a colossal structure floating in nothingness, a ring of light stretching thousands of kilometers. At its center, a silent world made of crystal and shadow. The signal pulsed again, stronger now. Welcome home, it said. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Home? Whispered the navigator. We've never been here. Rourke's eyes narrowed. Maybe not us, he said, but maybe those who came before us. Suddenly, the Leviathan's sensors detected movement. Hundreds of objects rising from the crystalline surface, not ships, not drones, but ancient constructs shaped like wings of light. They aligned in formation, scanning the human vessel. Identification complete, the AI announced. They recognized the Leviathan's core signature. How? Rourke asked, but the answer came from the voice again. Because it was ours once, before your kind learned to dream. Shock rippled through the crew. The Leviathan, humanity's greatest ship, was not human at all. It was a relic from an age before history, a weapon waiting for its rightful heirs. Rourke stood still, the weight of revelation sinking into him. Humanity hadn't just built a dreadnought. They had awakened one. Outside, the ring began to glow, and for the first time the stars trembled not from war, but from something greater, the return of an ancient power. And somewhere, far away, the remnants of the Empire watched their sensors flicker and die. One of the admirals whispered in terror, "They've found it. The origin of the Leviathan. The return of the forgotten gods." The Leviathan hovered before the ring of light, silent and unmoving, its vast hull reflecting the shimmering patterns of the ancient construct. To the crew, it felt as though time had stopped, every second stretching longer than breath. The voice that had spoken before returned, calm, ancient, and heavy with memory. "You stand where your ancestors once stood," it said, before they vanished into their own creation. Rourke tried to speak, but words felt small in the face of something so old. "Who are you?" he managed. The voice answered, "We were called many things, builders, keepers, gods, but we were simply what you are now, dreamers who refused to bow to time." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The realization was slow but clear. Humanity was not the first to rise from Earth. There had been others before, civilizations that reached the stars, built wonders, and fell into silence. And somehow, humanity had inherited what they left behind. The ring pulsed again, beams of light stretching out to the Leviathan, scanning every circuit, every molecule. The ship responded on its own, systems awakening that no human had ever programmed. The AI's voice changed, deeper, older, almost alive. "I remember now," it said. "I was not made. I was awakened." Suddenly the void rippled. Stars bent around the ring as if gravity itself were kneeling. From the other side of the rift came shadows, colossal beings of light and storm. Not ships, not life as humans knew it, but something between thought and energy. The voice spoke again. "They are the echoes of those who refused the end, the last of the forgotten gods." The Leviathan trembled as the beings drew closer, each movement sending waves across reality. One of them extended a beam of golden light touching the ship's surface. A symbol appeared, a spiral intertwined with a human hand, glowing on the hull. Rourke's heart pounded. "What do you want from us?" he asked. The answer came like thunder and prayer in one. "To finish what we began. To restore balance to the stars. The empire you fought was only the latest echo of arrogance. There will be others, stronger, darker. You must be the bridge between what was and what will come." Inside the bridge, silence fell again. The crew didn't fully understand, but they felt it. A purpose greater than vengeance, greater than war. Humanity had been chosen, not because of strength, but because of will. As the light faded, the beings retreated, leaving the ring pulsing softly. The AI's voice returned to normal, but something lingered, an awareness, an echo of the divine. "Captain," it said, "they've given us access to the core of the Leviathan." Rourke nodded slowly. "Then let's see what our ancestors left behind." The crew descended into the heart of the ship, where ancient doors of silver metal opened to a chamber that seemed infinite, floating patterns of stars projected all around them. At the center hovered a sphere of blue energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. When Rourke touched it, memories flooded his mind. Cities of light, oceans of fire, beings who shaped galaxies with their hands, and one vision clearer than all the rest, a promise. "When we fall, another will rise, and they will remember us," he gasped, stumbling back. The chamber glowed brighter, and outside the Leviathan roared to life, its engines burning with energy unseen for eons. Across the galaxy, sensors in every empire, every outpost, every world detected it, the reawakening of a power older than time. In their throne room, the surviving council of the Empire stared at the data with dread. One admiral whispered, "The humans didn't find a weapon. They found their destiny." And somewhere deep in the rift, a new voice, different, colder, whispered from the dark, "Then destiny must be stopped." The war beyond the stars, the galaxy no longer slept. Rumors spread like wildfire, of humans who had awakened something older than empires, older than gods. Some called it the dawn of a new age, others called it the beginning of the end. But for Captain Elias Rourke and his crew, it was something simpler, a reckoning. The Leviathan drifted at the edge of the ether rift, silent but alive, its hull glowing faintly with patterns no human mind could decode. The ancient sphere pulsed in its core like a second heart. Every system hummed in perfect harmony, yet deep within there was a tremor. The AI spoke softly. "Captain, I am detecting a disturbance, not from outside, but within the fabric of space itself." Before Rourke could respond, the void tore open. The stars themselves seemed to scream as black tendrils of energy unfolded across the cosmos, twisting light into shadow. From the rift emerged something enormous, older than even the forgotten gods. a being made of darkness and flame. Its voice shook every mind that heard it. "You were not meant to rise again," it thundered. "We buried your kind for a reason." The crew clutched their heads, memories not their own flashing behind their eyes. The fall of the ancient builders, their final war against the dark. The sealing of this very rift. The AI's tone shifted. Identity confirmed. Entity. The Null King, destroyer of the first civilizations. Rourke stood firm, his fists clenched. "So this is what destroyed them," he said quietly. "And it thinks it can do the same to us." The being spread its arms, its shape blotting out galaxies. "You are children playing with the bones of gods," it said. "Return to dust, and the stars may forgive you." Rourke smiled faintly, not with arrogance, but with defiance. "You should know something," he said. "We're not good at obeying." The Leviathan roared to life, its engines flaring white, every cannon opened, firing beams that bent time and burned through shadow. The dark energy screamed back. Hurling storms that crushed moons and tore gravity apart, space itself became a battlefield of light and nightmare. The ship's hull trembled, systems failing, yet Rourke refused to yield. "Divert all power to the core," he ordered. "Open the singularity drive." The AI hesitated. "That could destroy us." "Then we take him with us," Rourke said, his voice calm as death. The sphere at the ship's heart began to spin faster, reality around it warping. "Humanity," the voice of the forgotten gods whispered through the static. "Remember who you are." The Leviathan's core erupted into a column of blinding energy, folding space around it. The Null King shrieked as light tore through its essence. Stars exploded in a silent roar, and then stillness. When the light faded, the rift was gone. The darkness was gone. The Leviathan drifted quietly. Its hull scorched, its systems silent, only faint whispers echoed through the void. Inside, the surviving crew awoke slowly. The AI's voice, faint but steady, said, "Containment successful." But the captain, Rourke, was gone, his chair empty, only his insignia resting where he had stood. The navigator whispered, "Did he
survive?"
The AI paused. "In a way," it said. "He became part of the core. Part of the light that sealed the rift far away. Across countless worlds, the stars glowed brighter, as if the universe itself exhaled after holding its breath too long. The Empire's remnants fell silent forever, and a single message spread across the galactic network, traced to no origin. Just 5 words glowing in white light. Humanity stands watch once more. And in the endless dark where time forgets all things, the Leviathan drifted on, eternal, patient, waiting for the day it would be needed again. Because the war beyond the stars was over, but the story of humanity had only just begun. The return of the captain centuries passed, and the Leviathan became legend. Its name whispered by travelers. Feared by tyrants, honored by dreamers, they said it still floated at the edge of creation, guarding the silent rift where stars once wept. No one had seen it. But everyone knew. Humanity's guardian never truly slept. Across the galaxy, empires rose and fell. Peace came and went like the tide. The memory of the Great War faded into myth. The dark had been sealed, the gods forgotten, and the stars glittered quietly once more. But destiny has its own memory, and it does not forget what it owes. One night deep within the void, a signal pulsed from the rift. Faint, rhythmic, familiar, the Leviathan systems, long dormant, flickered back to life. Lights crawled along its hull like waking veins. The AI's voice, silent for eons, whispered to itself, "Core anomaly detected. Consciousness reformation sequence active." Inside the ship's heart, the sphere of blue energy pulsed faster. Within it, a flicker, then a heartbeat, then a voice. "My status report," it said, soft but commanding. The AI hesitated before answering. "Captain Elias Rourke. Reinitialization complete." Rourke opened his eyes, but they were no longer entirely human. His reflection shimmered against the glass chamber, his veins glowing faintly with light. He was still himself. But now something more, something intertwined with the Leviathan itself. "How long?" he asked. The AI replied, 312 standard years. Silence. Rourke stepped onto the deck, the ship recognizing his presence instantly. "And the galaxy?" he asked. The AI displayed countless stars, new borders, new powers, new dangers, peace. "Fragile and temporary," it said. Human colonies remain, but the Empire's ashes have birthed something new. The Dominion. Rourke's gaze darkened. So history repeats, he murmured. At that same moment, deep within the Dominion's capital, their rulers were meeting, discussing a growing disturbance in their outer sectors. A ghost ship, one of them spat, black hull, blue lights. No ID. The others laughed uneasily, but one ancient admiral remained silent, staring into the hollow map. That's no ghost, he whispered. That's judgment. Back in the void, the Leviathan powered up its engines, dust scattering like stars reborn. Captain, the AI said, there is something else. A message, buried in the data you left behind. Rourke nodded. Play it. A faint voice filled the bridge, his own. Recorded long ago before the final battle. If you're hearing this, it means humanity survived, the old Rourke said. But remember, survival isn't the end. It's the promise of something greater. Protect those who cannot. Lead when hope falters. And if darkness rises again, remind the stars why they feared us. The Leviathan's lights brightened, energy flowing through its ancient core. Rourke smiled faintly. Then let's remind them. As the engines roared, the ship broke through the veil of silence and entered the Dominion's frontier. Alarms echoed across their fleets as a single vessel appeared on every sensor. No signature, no broadcast, just an approaching storm of light. When the Dominion's admirals saw it, their voices trembled. It's impossible, one stammered. That ship belongs to myth. But myths, as the galaxy had learned, are simply truths that wait long enough to be remembered. The Leviathan opened a single channel across every frequency. Rourke's voice echoed across the stars, calm and final. To those who rule through fear, your time ends now. And somewhere among the billions watching the transmission, a child on a distant human world looked up at the night sky and whispered, he's real. The stars seemed to shimmer in answer. And the old story was born again. The story of the human who defied empires, silenced gods, and returned from eternity not as a warrior, but as a guardian of the endless night, because the Leviathan never died. It simply waited, and now humanity had returned.